In this video, I'm going to share with you the one thing you must do to get rid of your hemorrhoids forever. You cannot get better if you do not do this one thing. I'm going to share with you my wife's story, who has had hemorrhoids on and off her whole entire life, and then another story of my friend who just recently got hemorrhoids out of nowhere, and his butthole's been fine his whole entire life, and he just recently got hemorrhoids. So let's start with my friend's story first. It is a little bit more simplified, but hemorrhoids, everyone with hemorrhoids, is, if we look at their brain CT scans, they're going to have a ring-shaped formation right here in their temporal lobes 100% of the time. And this is caused by a conflict shock. And it goes by two different types of stress or themes of stress. It's either, if you're a male, it can be a territorial anger conflict. I can't believe you invaded my territory like that. Territorial anger. So if your hemorrhoids if you're a male or if you're a female on birth control pills, look for what makes you angry. What is making you angry? This could be fueling your hemorrhoids. If you're a female and you're not on birth control, chances are this is an identity conflict. See, my wife, she couldn't decide her hemorrhoids didn't show up until college. She couldn't decide, like, oh, do I want to be a teacher? Do I want to do this? I don't know what to do. What do I do with my identity? And so essentially this type of stress, whether it's territorial anger or this identity conflict, the body needs to adapt to the stress. It needs to do something in order to increase its chances of survival, and it does this by putting an organ into overdrive. And the organ it puts into overdrive, or the tissue in this case, is the rectum surface mucosa. In the conflict active phase, I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm angry about this. The body responds. You're going to become manic to a certain extent. You're going to become manic depending on the intensity of the conflict. But also what's happening on the organ level is there's cell loss. And it can get to the point where it's so intense, the cell loss turns into a burning pain, and it turns into anal fissures. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So it's only in very severe cases where you get the anal fissures, those nasty anal fissures. So, and the purpose of this cell loss is to widen the rectum opening so that the person can better mark their territory with their poop. That's how animals mark their territory. They poop. They poop on it. I poop here. This is my territory. Okay? Back off. We're animals. That's the way we've been designed. I'm angry. This person's in my territory. I'm gonna crap here. And my butthole's extra wide. I'm going to crap here and let the world know this is my territory. That's how this works. So for my friend, he is a male, and what happened is his wife left him. They got in a fight, and she packed her stuff up, and she grabbed a couple of the kids and grabbed her stuff, and she left. And so he was very angry about that. He was angry at the situation, angry at her. And during this time, the rectum surface mucosa was going through cell loss. But then they worked things out, and she came back. Conflicts resolved. So it goes into the healing phase, and now the body responds with cell proliferation down there to replenish the cell loss. But they were still kind of getting in fights on and off. So this program's going back and forth between cell loss and cell proliferation, cell loss and cell proliferation, and eventually these hemorrhoids form. So the way for him to get rid of his hemorrhoids for good was to learn how to deal with his relationship better, to deal with his wife better. And I shared with him some information. All guys need to go watch Casey Zander's YouTube channel. Because if you don't understand how how women operate and what a woman wants from a man in a relationship, women are just going to drive you crazy because you don't understand them. But when you fulfill, your masculine role in the relationship, she will fulfill her feminine role, and you'll have a very peaceful relationship, and you aren't turning on all these special programs because you don't understand what your wife is doing. It's very stressful stuff. I just had my house blown up in Ukraine, which was pretty stressful. But when I was broken up in college and high school with girlfriends, that was more stressful for me. So getting your romantic relationships under control and understanding, your masculine or feminine role in the relationship can go a long way for your health. So, but my wife, on the other hand, there's two different types of conflicts: a territorial anger and the identity conflict. And so this is dependent on your hormone status. For most men, it's going to be a territorial anger. Like 75% of the men, it's going to be a territorial anger, and like 25%, if you're a right-handed male, there's like a 25% chance that it could be an identity conflict. But for females, it's a little bit more complicated because there's more things playing with a female's hormone levels. You got pregnancy. That's why some hormones go away some hemorrhoids go away when a woman gets pregnant. It makes them more masculine, and it turns the program off because they can't experience an identity conflict anymore because they have more testosterone running through their system. So birth control pills, but a left-handed woman that isn't on birth control pills and isn't pregnant, it's an identity conflict. But for you right-handed women, look for the territorial anger and the identity conflict. You really want to go back to that point in your life where what was going on when my hemorrhoids first showed up. And so for my wife, her hemorrhoids first showed up in college. She didn't know what to do. And, a couple of years ago, they were really bad, and she didn't know, it was like still the same thing, 10 years later. I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what career. Should I be an English teacher? Should I do this? Should I do that? What do I do? But, so what do you do? How do you resolve your identity conflict? You give yourself an identity. I'm going to do this, and you run with it. And sometimes, it's not that simple. Life isn't that simple. It's complicated, but knowing that is causing your hemorrhoids is going to give you the motivation to eventually find the answer. But in the meantime, the hemorrhoids are good. It's not good for them to be there for a long time, but the itching in the hemorrhoids is a sign that you have resolved the conflict on some level, and it's already in the healing phase. You can get these things surgically removed, and that can help in some instances, but you really need to identify what the identity or the territorial anger conflict is. Otherwise, it's just going to be on and off and on and off your whole entire life. So one thing to do to kind of help make the hemorrhoids more bearable and help with the pain, it's very popular in Ukraine, is you shred up a potato. You shred up the meat of the potato, and you smear it on your butthole, and you go to bed like that. Or you can cut it into a suppository and coat it in olive oil or coconut oil or something, and you can also put it in the freezer or put it in the refrigerator and make it nice and cold, and then make a potato suppository, and the juices of the potato help with the pain. So guys, that's what you need to do to fix your hemorrhoids. It has absolutely nothing to do with food. It is all related to either an identity or a territorial anger conflict. So if you want my 30-day plan on how to get your digestive symptoms under control, click on this link right here. I'm Mike, the Heal Your Gut Guy. Good luck healing your hemorrhoids.